lovely and darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing the Blue Fairy book, which is a collection of fairy tales that are edited by Andrew Lang. This book was originally published in 1890 and is a collection of 37 short stories from around the world. So there are 37 short stories. Some of them are really familiar. Some of them are like Grimm fairy tales that were translated into English, and Arabian Nights, and a few by Madame d'Aulnoy. French name, I'm really bad at pronouncing that. So there's notable ones in here like Sleeping Beauty and Rumpelstiltskin, Beauty and the Beast. And then there are ones that I didn't know very well, and it's really a hodgepodge mix of stories. Some of these are definitely better than others. Some of these I skimmed through to write out, just ended up not finishing that story. And these are definitely darker, creepier, bloodier, gorier stories. Some of them are a bit sexist. There is a lot of importance on being beautiful in these. But the short stories were compiled in 1890, and a lot of them are way older than that. So it really is a mix. This book is just all over the place, but it's also kind of cool. When Andrew Lang published these, it was the first time that a lot of these stories had been published in English, and especially compiling that many fairy tales together at once. And then he went on to publish several of these, which have different color designations, like the Red Fairy Tale book. But this was the first one, so it has some of the more recognizable stories in it. My favorite story in here by far is also the one that I had already read before going into this, which is Beauty and the Beast. And this one follows Beauty going to the castle so her father can be released. And then every night the Beast comes to her. They dine together. He asks her to marry him. She says no, but then she's dreaming about this prince, and she sees pictures of this prince all over the castle. And she's getting visions from him, like to not worry about looks and stuff. So that's definitely my favorite. Has a good moral to it. Some of these have really strong moral. Some of them are kind of ambiguous about whether or not there is a moral to it. The one that surprised me the most was probably Sleeping Beauty, because it starts off like the traditional Sleeping Beauty story. She's asleep, the prince comes and rescues her, she goes off and marries him. Except there's another part of the story where Sleeping Beauty, she has kids, the prince's stepmother is an ogre, and the stepmother decides that she's gonna eat Sleeping Beauty and the kids because she's tired of sharing attention with them, and also she's an ogre, and that sounds really yummy. So we also have this story of Sleeping Beauty trying to rescue her kids and not have them be eaten by the ogre and having to see them. So that one surprised me a lot. Wasn't expecting that. The story of Puss in Boots also really surprised me. So basically there's this son who is gifted a cat. So the cat manages to convince this king that his master is actually this really powerful another king, and he does this by deceiving him and telling lies, but then he also manages to back up his story. So eventually the cat manages to take over this, I think it's an ogre or a giant's castle, and that becomes his master's castle. And so when the king comes to visit, he's got a castle and everything. So that one was so weird that it was so interesting. But it was definitely not the Puss in Boots story that I was used to. I also really liked The White Cat, which is the story of this king who has 3 sons. And rather than just giving his entire kingdom to the oldest son, he sets out these quests for his sons to complete, and whoever brings back the best thing gets to become king. He sends them out to get him like a dog, or the last one is to bring back a wife. And each of the sons go and travel, but the youngest one doesn't go as far as the other 2. He ends up in this kingdom with this talking cat, and she's got a castle filled with a bunch of talking cats. And other than the fact that they're cats, they're kind of normal kingdom stuff happening. And he makes friends with the ruler, the princess type cat. I don't know if she's actually a princess. But they develop this relationship, and he spends like a year with her and then goes back because she gifts him the thing that he's supposed to be looking for, and it's always like the most impressive thing. But his dad's like, this is clearly not fair. I'm not digging this. Sends him on another quest. He does this 3 times, and the last time he comes back with the cat as his bride. And I don't know, it was so cute and adorable that I loved that story. There's also a story in here called The Story of Pretty Goldilocks, but it's not like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It's a story about this beautiful princess that everybody falls in love with, and this king, I think it's a king or a prince. The king goes to woo her, keeps sending suitors. She doesn't want anything to do with it. Eventually sends like one of his most trusted advisors. He goes to woo the princess, but they end up falling in love, and then trying to marry without dying by the king who just got betrayed. There's also one here called A Voyage to Lilliput, which is literally just Gulliver's Travels, and I'm like, that's such a weird one to put in here. It doesn't seem like it's that long ago, plus it was in English already, so it seemed like a weird entry into this. It's a mix of short stories and fairy tales. Some of them are better than others. On the whole, I ended up giving this 3 stars just because of some of them were really amazing and some of them were I didn't finish the story. So these are definitely violent and gory fairy tales, so beware of that if you're actually going to give to a child. But I also feel like some of the stories I didn't like as much probably would have been better if it was actually a child reading them rather than a grown-up me. But let me know in the comments below if you've read the Blue Fairy book or any of Andrew Lang's edited fairy tales. There are citations in the book to who translated each story, and also for a lot of these where they came from, although not all of them have credits, which was also kind of annoying because you'd read one and be like, so where did it come from? Peace out. I love you guys and keep reading. Bye.